No, you can't even change your. Wow. So, can you hear me now? In the stream. Oh, you got to go back to the stream. Sorry.
Yep.
You should be able to hear me now, though. As far as I can tell. Check. Hey. Yeah. It looks like it's working correctly now. Check 1, 2. Hey.
Waiting for 1050. Oh, 1050. Okay. See the video?
Check 1, 2. Hey. Hey.
Yep. I still hear you. Good.
Okay, so do you have any advice on like what I should do here? Should I just talk as if people are there the whole time, and then if people show up, that's fine? What do you think?
Yeah, just sorry. I can't hear my echo and I'm moving away. Yeah, go ahead and just talk to the camera as if it's someone there. If you aren't, you can always just say like, hey, I'm just gonna put my head down and start working for a bit. You know, just kind of ignore for a bit. Just say what's on your mind usually.
Okay. And if I stream music,
picture the top-down camera.
What's that?
You can always picture the top-down camera.
How do I do that?
On the A10, I think there's a pic on the
picture
right
picture
area. Or you could use the A10 software.
The top-down camera is not on. No, I would love to picture the top-down camera. I was thinking about I might have to pop over there and.
Music log in so that way you can stream some royalty-free music if you want
to. Yeah, I'm not sure if I know how to do another thing though. Okay, so picture on. So the picture worked, but it's the same camera shot. How do I change the camera shot?
I think you have to go into the camera control software or the camera control software and select your picture source.
It's not very big either. I'm in the software. I don't.
It's the upstream key panel in the switcher section. Choose your source.
The upstream key panel. Oh, the software crashed. I don't know where to go.
So in the ATEM software control, bottom left says switcher, and then at the top right there's a upstream key section.
Bottom left, okay. So switcher is on, and then top left.
And then the top right, on the top right, there's a upstream key drop down.
No, I don't see that. I've got palettes, media, hyperdeck, and output.
Try to remove.
I'm showing you my screen. You see my screen?
Yeah.
Ooh. Are you controlling my mouse?
I am.
I was like, this mouse is going crazy. Oh, okay.
Is that working?
I just got to turn it back on. Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to remember if camera 3 was the right camera.
Yep. Do you want to make it bigger? It's pretty small.
There's a 0.5 scale.
Did that zoom? That zoomed in. Did it, or did it make it bigger?
I'm just changing the window size.
Oh, okay. All right, that's cool.
All right, I will disconnect. Oh, that has dropped.
I'm glad you're excited to watch this stream.
My brother's on the stream. That's funny.
Oh, your brother? You're talking to the mic.
Oh, your brother?
J-Dub.
You're talking to the mic. What up, Jacob? Thanks for joining the stream. Like and subscribe.
All right, I'm going to get started then.
I'm gonna mess with the picture-in-picture settings a bit because it looks terrible.
All right, I'll get off the phone though. I'll let you mess with that while I get going. All right, so if you're on the stream, we've got a church client that they are in a Digico system and they wanted to add in-ears, and there's multiple ways to add in-ears, in-ear monitors, if you're not familiar with the term in-ears. So there's multiple ways to add in-ears to an existing system, and a lot of times the manufacturer themselves have a solution for in-ears. In this particular case, they did not want to go with a manufacturer recommended system. They wanted to, the worship leader is very familiar with the TF Rack system. TF Rack's been on the market for a long time. The worship leader had it at a previous church. And this is kind of one example of just making sure that you're listening to your clients through the sales process. Because I personally probably would not have picked the TF Rack system. It's not my favorite, and I actually don't know it super well. I have played with it. We've installed it a couple of times in a couple of different venues, primarily in schools. They are really simple. They're very easy to understand, and that's probably why a lot of people pick them. And but as far as like, hey, am I a major fan? I'm not like a huge fan, so it probably wouldn't be my go-to. But the client really wanted it, and the client kept mentioning, well, I want it to work like and then they would talk about stuff that was in the TF Rack system. So instead of me trying to convince them that they want to go with something that I am more familiar with, or that I like better, or that I'm more comfortable with, I just decided, okay, you know what, we'll just sell them the system that they want to have, and we'll figure it out. So I'm going to be installing this tomorrow at the venue. But anytime you're going to, do an install for people, you want to make sure that you get your prep work and that you get it, going, so that you feel really comfortable walking in. So I'm going to do some prep work with you on the stream and just kind of talk through my thoughts and my thought process of how things are going. A couple of things to note. Because we're not going with the native system, we actually need to figure out, okay, how do we get audio from a Dante console or from a Digico console into a Yamaha console? And we decided we're going to do that through a protocol called Dante. So this here is a DMI Dante card. This is what goes into the back of a Digico. Dante is a licensed protocol that takes audio, converts it into a proprietary signal that is controlled by Audinate. It's like a codec, if you want to think about it that way. And then it can transfer audio across, a network. This is a 64 by 64 card at 96 kilohertz. Dante is up to 128 by 128 now. I don't know if they're at 256. If they are, I haven't installed one, but they're at 128 by 128 for sure. And this will go inside the Digico. So we will need another Dante card inside the Yamaha and the TF Rack so that the Yamaha can speak the same protocol. And that's what's inside this little box here, is this Dante controller. And this Dante controller right here, you can see it on that camera view. This Dante controller, we're going to be putting inside of here. We're going to get this thing powered up. So what comes inside this box is just that controller, little user manual. I'm very familiar with the Dante protocol. If you've been in professional audio for, Dante's been around for a long time, and so you should be familiar with the protocol as well. But if you haven't been around, pro audio for a long time, you may not be very aware of what Dante is. But it should be something you should familiarize yourself with if it's something that, if you're into pro audio and you plan on making a career out of this, if you want to get into professional integration, even if you're not necessarily going to be an audio person, but you're going to, you want to get into programming, you want to get into integration, you're definitely going to want to understand what Dante is, because it's such a common protocol. It's kind of become the industry standard for transmitting digital audio across the network. So here we go. We've got the TF Rack. We're going to open that up and see what's inside there. Like I said, the TF Rack has been on the market for a really long time. This isn't like a super exciting unboxing or anything like that. We've got our user manuals and stuff like that on the top here. Got a bunch of packaging. Now, I am going to be installing this, at a client's, at a venue tomorrow, at a church tomorrow. So I do want to keep all the packaging, and I don't want to, hurt or destroy anything, because I'm going to be packing this back up to go take it tomorrow. So power cord here. Pull this. Oh, looks like these come out. All right. Here is our TF Rack system. Now the TF Rack, it shares its software base with the other TF series consoles that Yamaha has. This is their small format rack mountable one. They do have a bunch of other TF series consoles with actual faders and knobs and stuff like that. But this, kind of goes into a rack. There are local I/O ports. If you don't know what I/O stands for, input, output, I/O, input, output. And so you've got 16 ins, you've got 16 outs. Your 16 outs come in XLR 1 through 8, and then 1/4 inch 9 through 16. We've also got a stereo input. So the one of the because this is such a limited, interface, you can do a ton through the touch screen, but it's really designed, and the way that we're going to be using it is it's designed to use it on an iPad. And so I've got my iPad charging here. I'll be doing an iPad. I'll be downloading the app here in a little bit once we get this up and running. It does host its own local Wi-Fi network, if I remember correctly, to help you get it set up. And then once you get it set up, you can set it up on your building's network. So that's what we'll be doing when we get to the church. Then we've got our touch screen right here, and we've got some user-defined keys, user-defined knobs. This rotary and touch knob is what helps us control this menu. I think I said it was a touch screen. I don't believe it actually is a touch screen. I can't remember. This is kind of an older model. A couple of other buttons. You can mute your inputs, mute your effects, change your fader banks. So that's kind of the basics of the front of this. There's a home screen button. There's a scenes button. The scenes tool is what we use. We've installed this in a bunch of schools, and we have like multiple outputs and multiple inputs. And we actually have one of these sitting in between 2 different venues. And so when we use it in that, it's like a gymnasium on one side and a cafeteria on the other side. And so we can use the scenes to really control the routing of all that stuff and where all the audio is coming from and where the audio is going to. So obviously I've stepped off camera. I'm over here trying to find some tools. I can move my tools a little bit closer to the work area. Let's see here. Trying to find a screwdriver that's going to fit properly and not strip out the Phillips head screws on this. So in our warehouse, we have just tons of tools everywhere. So I've got no shortage of options. I just want to make sure I find the right option. I've got a drill in my hand, and I don't really recommend using a power drill. Now, you're going to say, but that's what you're actually using, Bruce. Why are you doing that? This particular one, it does have different settings. And so we're going to be using the setting that has like a variable drive, which means it's very sensitive to the trigger. And the reason I don't recommend using one is because you can very easily torque stuff and ultimately end up damaging things. Well, so that's what I'm trying to avoid. And it's going to be a little bit picky on me. There it goes. So there's this blank plate over the input slot. So I'm taking the blank plate off. Now here's our input slot, and this is where our Dante card goes. Just so you know, there's like a little like ribbon thing. Let's see. There you go. Ribbon thing right here. And so that corresponds with something there. And then there's like a slot channel that I can feel it sliding into to know that it's lined up properly. And then it's pretty simple, just putting that down in there. Once again, I'm going to use a drill to tighten these screws, but I got to be really careful that I don't do anything that is going to over torque them, because I don't want to damage stuff. So probably a hand screwdriver is ultimately better, especially if you're not as experienced or familiar with your drill gun. But I got this on the slowest setting, so. All right, cool. Got that in there. That's all you really need to do. So it is plug and play, right? So once I plug it in, this device is already designed to work with Dante. I'm not going to need to install any drivers or anything like that. It's all built in. And install it, and then I can plug it in and then turn it on for the first time. Now, I don't know exactly what all the inputs for the church are. So let's say I had an input list. I could, do a whole lot more prep today. But really my goal is to get this TF rack to the place where it's powering up fine. I know it's been tested. I know that it sees the Dante card. And then I want to get into the matrix a little bit and make sure that the inputs are mapped the way that I'm going to want them for the band. And so, okay, well, Bruce, if you don't know the input list, how do you know how you want to map them? Well, the least amount of variables that you can change on a client, the better. And so I have been to their church. I know, some basics of how their audio console is set up, how the band is set up. But what's most important is I do know that the console is set up in such a way that it makes sense to me and that it makes sense to their volunteers. So I'm not going to want to change any of that. So I'm going to make sure that it's all one-to-one on their in-ear system, matches one-to-one on their front house console. They're currently using like an Aviom system, not like an Aviom. So they're currently using Aviom. And if you're familiar with Aviom, the old Aviom systems, there were 16 inputs, and you could group stuff. And, a lot of the Aviom was amazing for what it was when it came out. It's obviously old tech now. It's been on the market for, 30 plus years, these particular units that they're using. And is that right? Yeah. Well, anyways, it doesn't matter. 20 to 25 years, something like that. So what I want to do is I want to try to transition them from the Aviom into the new system, but I want to try to make that as simple as possible. So I'm going to map everything one-to-one, meaning channel 1 on the front of house console is going to be channel 1 on this console, channel 2, channel 2, channel 3, channel 3. That's what one-to-one means. And that way, they're not having to think and guess about what's what, where is it going. Try to make it, as simple and consistent as possible. So I'm going to put this up so that you guys can see the boot screen. I've got a power cord, or else I would move a little bit more. Let's see. I can move my table maybe. Nope, everything's kind of. Let's see if I can get this to where y'all can see it. There you go. Might be upside down for you, but I got to have it right side up for me. So I got this like graphic screen that's going here. I'm going to peel this plastic off so I can see everything better. So the graphics are going, and it's booting up for the first time. It's asking me, what language do I want to use? I want to use English. So this has like a little, oh, it is a touch screen. But okay, I can hit next here. It's giving me an overview. I am fairly familiar with this unit, so I don't need to, read the overview too much. I'm going to have to probably educate myself somewhat because, like I said, I don't set these things up a ton. But I don't need to see that help screen again. So here we go. So here's our outputs for our auxes. Here's our inputs, and we can select our inputs. Then it's going to give me my EQs, my compression, my gate, my gain control, all this stuff. And then it's also going to give me my socket choice and, tell me or ask me, hey, what socket do you want me to be looking at? Meaning like what input. And so we have the physical inputs in the back of here, but we want this thing to be looking at the digital inputs. And so that's what I'm going to be figuring out how to do. I'm going to go to the settings button. I've got my bus set up, load preferences, network. We'll worry about network tomorrow when we actually physically get it installed. Let's see here. This might be where I have to start educating myself a little bit on. Been doing this long enough that sometimes I can just punch around and I can figure it out. Well, none of that has to do with the inputs. So how do I tell it? That's the direct out. Change the names, change the color. That's not really what I want. Well, you'd think it's going to be here inside of settings. So there's a slot setup. So first things first, maybe I have to tell it what slot I want. Quick config guide. If I remember correctly, quick config just like does a one-to-one, but it does use the physical inputs on the board, which we don't really want because we're going to do everything digital through the Dante. So I also might have to get into a software here in order to set up the Dante. Most of the time you can do it through the front screen. So although I'm not easily seeing it. All right, well, I'm going to have to do some research. So YouTube is obviously a really good, resource, but these things do come with user manuals. And a lot of times you might be surprised how easily it is to find the information you're looking for if you have your user manual. So let's see first if I can find what I need inside the quick guide. Might be in section 5, page 12. Mm-hmm. Input allows you to input channel strip. Channel view. There's a lot of stuff in here. I know how to do the EQ, high pass filter, how to get into that section. I'm trying to see how I get into, how do I back out of this? Okay. All right. So let's see if I can show this. Maybe y'all can see that. So I've got it here where now I can say, okay, this input, which is input 1, where do I want you to get your information from? And I want it to get from slot 1, which is the Dante card that we just installed. And I'll say, yeah, that one, we're going to go to slot 1. And then I can change this to channel 2. And I can do the same thing to slot 2. And that's what I'm going to do for all 64 channels, is I'm going to move all of them from looking at their local input to looking at their slot input. All right, so then inside a Dante controller, and I'm going to have to do this tomorrow, but when I get there and I've installed this card into the Digico console, I'll open up Dante controller, and then I'll tell all of the Dante of the Digico controller to send, so it's the Dante outputs, I want it to send 1 through 64 from the Digico into Dante. And then once it's inside of Dante, then Dante is going to receive those digital inputs into this console 1 through 64. So that's why I wanted to set up that digital scene. So this is going to be a little bit boring as I work, just through going through here. I don't know if there's a faster way for me to toggle through these other than doing it the way that I'm doing it. I know that you can't see it right now. I just did number 3. Sometimes you can push a button and it'll just automatically go to the next input. But at the moment, I'm not seeing that. So, oops, wrong button. So we're going to just keep going. I just did 4. This is just a part of the slow, boring part of the process. It does indicate when you do that, it does say, hey, this is a virtual input, so that you know that it's not a physical input, which is totally fine for our use. It's not just fine, it's what we're doing. A little bit of a slow process. I got to go through and confirm every single one once I do it. That was number 10, just to give you an idea of where we're at. The advantage that this gives me is that I don't have to do this on site tomorrow. I have verified this thing's powered up. It's seeing my Dante card, so that tomorrow, if I have any Dante issues, I can be a little bit more confident that it's not inside this unit, that Dante might be having problems with the other unit. So while certainly this could be done on site tomorrow, it really kind of helps rule out some things so that tomorrow I'm not, doing everything all at once. Okay. That was channel 20. We do have to make it all the way to 64, so not the one thing I'm noticing here, I'm not positive that I can do anything other than one-to-one, which means that I'm sure I could do it inside a Dante controller, but I think that if you're just doing it off the touch screen, one-to-one's your only option, which, kind of makes sense. This is designed to be a much more simple system. They're trying not to be overly complicated, especially just off of the user's touch screen. So it makes sense that they would do that. They do call Dante World, they call them TOs and Rios. If you're familiar with the Yamaha ecosystem, Yamaha speaks Dante natively. And so they have had a partnership with Dante. That's the language inside of it. So when you buy a TO or a Rio, which is their stage boxes, those are going to be Dante native stage boxes. And you would be able to just, plug directly into those stage boxes. And then Dante controller is going to see those stage boxes as individual devices. So that terminology carries over here. I keep saying 64 by 64, but the TF Rack is actually limited to 32 channels. We have 64 channels available in Dante land, but this is limited at 32 channels. It does have some stereo channels and stuff like that that are local to the unit only. So I made it to the stereo channels, and that's how I remembered that it's only 32, which is no big deal. Okay, so I want to show you, I'm going to show you something. See if I can find what I want to show you. Okay, so now that I've got it set up to I'm not sure if you can see this, but now that I've got it set up to the Dante slot, the icon right here has changed from what looks like an XLR port to a slot card. So it's kind of like a way to help remind you, hey, I'm not looking at the local input anymore. If I were to plug into the back port of one, it would not show up in one because I've got it looking at the slot one, not the port one. And so it's trying to give me that little digital reminder there. But other than that, it sees the Dante card, which is great. Everything's working. I don't have an input list, so I can't really go any further on that. But I think the next step that I can do is I can get this set up on the network and start doing a little bit of network configuration so that part is ready. Let's see if this thing is hosting Wi-Fi. I might be mistaken on that. It might not host Wi-Fi by itself, but let's check here. So I'm going to my settings. Inside my settings, there's a little like network button there, and it's asking me for an IP address. It's asking me, well, actually, it's currently set to DHCP. So if it was connected to a DHCP server, that's where it would get that information. But it is not saying that it actually has local Wi-Fi. So some units do, some units don't. Looks like this one does not. So what I'm going to do, or what I'm going to have to do, is I'm going to have to connect this to the studio's Wi-Fi so that I can actually get into the box. So you can just kind of hang out while we go to that next step of getting it connected. And if I have a pre-built network cable that's long enough, then we can use that. But I think I might have to build a network cable to plug this into the Wi-Fi here inside the studio. I don't think this one's long enough. I know y'all can't see what I'm seeing right now, but I've got one in my hand that's maybe 20 feet long, and that's not going to be long enough. So this video is not about not about Cat 6, but you might get to see that anyways. Let's see what this is. I might get lucky. Nope, that's a shorty. All right, let's just build a cable. No problem. If you've never watched one of our videos on terminating Cat 6, you can definitely go watch that. It is a handy skill to know, so that if you ever get put in a situation like we're in right now and you need a super long Cat 6 cable, but you don't currently have one, you can just build your own. So that's what we're going to do next. Let's see here. In my labeling videos, I always talk about how important it is, or in my termination videos, I always talk about how important it is to label your cables. We are going to be skipping that step because this is not permanently installed. I'm just going to take it from my rack here and go plug it in my network switch inside our AV rack. So I'm not going to stress out about labeling this. Let's see if I work right here. Can you see it? All right. I guess that works. I'll get my back to the camera. Maybe that's not ideal. I'll turn around. If you got any questions, you can post them into the comments. I can see the comments from where I'm at right now. So if I glance up, I can see that. All right, so this is not about terminating Cat 6, but I just scored my cable, which we talk about, just really lightly scoring the jacket so that I can get it broken off. And then I've got all my pairs here. So I'm going to untwist my pairs. I'm going to kind of pinch them between my fingers in order to straighten those out. So got that right there. While this is just a temporary cable and I don't necessarily have to do everything perfectly, I am going to go ahead and put boots and stuff on it. I have found over the years, many times when you create a temporary cable, It's not like I'm going to leave it permanently installed in the system, but a lot of times it just lives now in the warehouse and it becomes a cable that we can just grab and go do stuff with. And so it's better to go ahead and, you know, have it like it's set up correctly. Orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, brown. Okay, so that's your B setup. I talk about all the time how you should always make sure you're reading your pinout. I primarily talk about that because especially as you're newer, it's pretty easy to kind of get confused with that. But I have the advantage of having it memorized. So I'm pinching this. I talk about this in the termination video, but I'm pinching that nice and tight there in the, and I can kind of feel the distance that I want, how long I want these to be. I can just feel it. I'm going to cut that nice and flush there. So I got to, and then slide that in. So it kind of messed up when I went to slide it. I'm going to redo it. There it goes. Sometimes it's good to look at your pattern before you crimp, just to make sure that your pattern didn't get messed up while you're sliding it in. Yeah, it looks like everything's good to me. I'm going to do that again on this side. There we go. Anybody out there watching? Have y'all ever terminated your own Cat 6? If you're able to throw that in the chat, and did you learn it from watching one of our videos? That'd be kind of cool if you have. All right. I think I've got my cable tester as well, if I don't have it at the table. So Jonathan says that he's terminated Cat 6 before watching videos. It was not good. Okay. So Jonathan is our producer here. So he has learned quite a bit from just having to watch me do it and then having to edit the videos. Orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, and brown. Let's see, get back in order. There we go. Again, that was 2 times. Did I may say that you need to make sure you're doing that tab down? You do need to make sure that you're doing that tab down. All right, so this one's kind of giving me a problem. It doesn't want to cooperate. So what I can do is I can just start all over. There's no reason why I have to keep, fussing with it. So if I don't get it this time, I'm going to restart. But I did get it that time. I think, man, it's too good of a chance that I'm gonna mess up that termination. So I'm just gonna try again. No big deal. Sometimes when you're trying to insert it inside the connector, there's like these little walls that divide where all the wires are supposed to go. And sometimes you just have a wire that jams a wall, and then it gets a little crinkled, and then it starts messing up the other wires, and it doesn't really want to go where it belongs. And that's okay. You can just start over. And if you've done it enough, you're not really stressed out about the fact that it's going to take you a little bit of time. It's better to get it done right than it is to, go ahead and crimp it down and then it's broken and you're going to have to redo it anyways. And now you've wasted one of the connectors. So orange, white, orange, green, white, blue, blue, white, green, brown, white, brown. All right. Oh, that one went in perfect. I felt it kind of slide and snap into place. So feel really good about that one. All right. So that should be good. I'm going to throw a tester on it just because, especially when you're dealing with a new piece. I mean, you should always test your cables, but when you're dealing with a new piece of gear, you want to feel confident that if you have a problem, it's not the gear. And guess what, folks? My tester is dead. Well, I don't know if I've got another tester. My tester's dead. All right. I'm going to just throw caution to the wind and go plug it into my network switch and see what happens here. Hopefully I get activity lights and I got no problems. Whoever put this cable in its bundle did a great job doing the over-under on the cable. So it uncoiled perfectly. Plugging that in, and my network switch activity lights did not pop on my network switch, which is not a good sign. Activity lights did not pop on here. That's also not a good sign. Well, I probably have another cable tester somewhere in this warehouse if I want to take time to find it. So I'm going to just kind of eyeball it real quick and see if I can see anything that looks obviously wrong to me. That one looks good. The one at the rack definitely looks pretty good to me. That one also looks good. I don't see any obvious reasons why. Let's see if I go to Dante. Okay, so I plugged it into Dante. We instantly had activity. So what that might mean is that we got activity on both. What that might mean is that the TF rack might have to have the network turned on. Dante's always going to be on. So let me go back into my TF rack settings. So that's actually a perfect example of why I said really you want to test it, because if you don't test it, you're going to do what just happened right there, where I don't know if it's the rack that's having some sort of problem or if it's the cable. But I'm going to go back into my network settings. And I've got this set to DHCP. It looks like it grabbed an IP address, which is good. Does that mean that I have activity? So I don't have indicator lights on the back there. Go back over to my network switch, see if I've got indicator lights. Nope, I don't have it there either. Huh. Well, given that Dante gave us plenty of activity, I feel fairly confident that the cable is fine. I just need to understand what's going on with our network settings. So there's an option to refresh your network settings. And when I hit refresh, it did appear as if it went and grabbed an IP address. Now, I still don't have activity lights at the rack. So it looks like it's trying. Okay, we have multiple network switches inside the studio here. So it's possible I need to go to the other network switch. So bear with me for a second. All right, so the other network switch doesn't have any open ports, but the two network switches are connected to each other. So there's not a really good reason why I should have to go to that one. Oh, there we go. I don't know what's different. That time it instantly popped up. Okay, well. All right, cool. So on the unit here, I don't want to crush my cables. On the unit here, it says unit name, and I've got it as the TF rack. I'm going to change it. I don't think it's, oops, push a different button. I don't think that it's terribly important that I change it. But here's a reason why you probably want to be in the habit of changing those names. This is what's going to show up when they try to connect an iPad. This is what's going to show up on the device list of what they're trying to connect to. And the reason, even though there's not going to be more than one TF rack in this particular space, if you can make it a little bit easier for people to understand, it helps kind of just smooth the process. So I'm just going to call this the TF in-ears. TF in-ear. And then that way, whenever that pops up, there's no confusion to them as to what unit it is. I think it was connecting to the network the entire time. I think I was just, there's no indicator lights on the back of the unit. So that's a little bit confusing. And then the indicator light at the switch, there's like 3 different indicator lights. I just think I was looking at the wrong spot there. So I've got my iPad. I'm going to go ahead and download the TF Rack app. Once again, many steps as I can get out of the way of making sure that this unit is good to go, the less I have to, do while I'm on site tomorrow. And tomorrow I am going to be on site by myself. And the reason that is important is a lot of times your clients, they want to talk to you. And so you're there to do a specific job, and then they want to chat with you and run stuff by you, which is all great. But if you were planning on using every single minute to get your job done and you didn't prepare to have that, time, then it can kind of come back and bite you because you're rushing to try to get stuff done while they are trying to, chat with you about stuff. So you do want to make sure you have plenty of stress-free time. Yamaha, I'm having a hard time finding the app. So I'm typing in Yamaha TF. Okay, so it's called the TF Stage Mix is what the app is called, TF Stage Mix. So we're going to get that. Got to look at my face to confirm. Let's see if I put this over here. Yeah, y'all can kind of see what's going on. To open that up, we're going to allow. And all right, can you see that? Can you see that I open up the app and it's telling me, hey, the TF in-ear is available. I'm not positive you can see that, but anyways, the name is listed here. It's got the IP address, and that's what's nice about like giving it a name that makes it clear, is because I know, yep, that's the one. Now you go, but Bruce, that's the only one that showed up. There are sometimes in these apps where they create demo consoles and you can log into a demo console. So if you don't change the name, now a lot of times it'll say like, TF Rack demo. But let's just say if you don't change the name, it's possible you could be logging into a demo and you're not actually logging into your unit. So by changing the name, I kind of guaranteed, yeah, I'm actually talking to the unit right here that we are setting up, and I'm logging into it, and then boom, I've got my full interface. I've got my 32 channels. I've got these stereo channels that I don't need. I got DCAs. Like it's all here. My unit is online. My unit is working. That's great. That is great. Looks like I probably could have set stuff up, on the app as I predicted. Now there's going to be, this is the full app. This is the one that gives you control of the whole thing. There's another app that I'm going to download in order for the musicians to be able to control only their mixes. But I have to kind of set that up. And so when we get into the band rehearsal, I'll be setting up all of those devices. But let's see if I can find that other app. Let's see if it's here in the App Store. Yeah, so it's called the Yamaha Monitor Mix. And on the Monitor Mix, I can tell it that it's limited to only what I want to give it access to. And then right here, you see this where it says offline demo. That's an example of what I was talking about, offline demo. But my TF in-ear, showed up. So I'm going to connect to that. And then it's going to ask me, hey, what aux am I controlling? So you don't want to give the musicians your kind of full control. This one right here, that is your stage mix. the stage mix can change everything, and we don't really want them to be able to change everything. We only want them to be able to affect the change of whatever, auxiliary it is that they're going to be connecting to. So if you don't know what an aux is, auxiliary mix is what that stands for, and that is its own unique mix for that musician, and that's what we've done in order to give them this kind of in-ear environment. So if I said, hey, you're going to be able to select aux 1, change aux 1, then all the channels are available to them, but they can only change their mix. They can't change the overall mix, or more importantly, they can't go change somebody else's mix and then mess them up, and then they're trying to listen to it. And then they can change volumes, and that's basically all they can do for their mix. All right, I think that kind of takes us as far down the road as we can do for this particular build. A couple of other interesting things that we are doing. I'll go ahead and show them to you since you're, taking time to pay attention to this. The Avioms, some of the units are connected to wireless microphones, and so they're going to have wireless transmitters, but some of them are hardwired. And okay, well, how are we going to handle a hardwired mix if they have their own control? Now, for those of you that are used to something called a stage monitor, that's a live speaker on stage that is facing back towards the musician. And it's kind of a bad idea to give a musician iPad control over a live stage monitor, because they are not necessarily thinking about gain before feedback. They're thinking about, can I get this speaker loud enough for me to hear it over everybody else? And I don't really want them to have the loudest speaker on stage. I want to be able to control that. So because I don't want gain before feedback. If you're not familiar with what gain before feedback is, real easy and simple. It's how loud can I turn something up before it begins to feedback inside the sound system, before the sound system is hearing itself. That's what feedback is. So I don't want that. If I've got a live monitor, I don't want them to turn it up and then it squeals the whole system, and then I'm not in control of it. It's just a problem. So you don't give iPad control to people that are controlling a live wedge. All right, well then how are you going to do this? We are actually going to be using a hardwired in-ear solution. So instead of a loudspeaker or instead of a wireless pack, we are going to hardwire them in these little headphone jacks. So the XLR is going to go here. It comes off of the monitor jack. So let's say that we're going to be using this unit right here. You've got, an output, right? So I could assign output 1 is going to be aux 1. And I've got an XLR cable right here, plug in the XLR cable to here, plug it into here, and then this converts that XLR into a headphone jack, and it gives them volume control on here. They also have volume control inside the app, but they can control that. And then this allows them to put ears on instead of a live wedge. And now they're a hardwired monitor solution. It's got a clip on it. So most of the musicians are just going to put this clip on the music stand, clip it on, plug in their headphones. They've got control of volume here. They got control of volume here. They have control of their mix. And it makes it, really simple for them. So that's how we're solving it for the musicians that don't have wireless in-ears. All right. I'm going to look at chat for a second. I think that pretty much covers it. Anybody got any questions in the chat before we? Jacob says that he's never tried to terminate Cat 6, but he has seen our videos, so that's cool. If you've got any other questions, post them now. If not, Thanks for just like watching me just do some basic work. I know it's Labor Day. I know I'm supposed to be taking the day off, but I had COVID like a week or 2 weeks ago when I was supposed to do this install. And so I had to cancel, and I'm going to be doing the install tomorrow. And I had to do a little bit of prep work before I got out there. So no other questions. On this TF Rack unit, it is safe to power it down. Yeah, there is no like, I don't think that there's a log off button or power down button or anything like that. I think that it's safe and fine. Almost all audio consoles, it's fine to just kill the power. They're actually designed with like a fail-safe system so that, you know, if the front of house loses power, they're going to try to pop back up as fast as possible so you can get your show going again. They're also going to try to pop back up the way that you just left them. It's kind of obnoxious if your audio console were to come back and it comes back on a totally different setting or preset. So almost all digital consoles are designed to come back exactly the way that you left them, so that if you lose power in the middle of the show, you're not, you know, coming back to some other setting that you weren't familiar with. We're going to box this all back up, as I said at the beginning of the video, so that we can deliver this to our customer. Put all the user manuals and everything back in here. Looks like there's some sort of software, recording software that comes with it. I'm not familiar with what that is. We have generated some trash. The boxes for the Dante cards are serialized. And so what that means is that if I need to ever return that Dante card, I can't use a different Dante card box to return it. I have to use the one that it came with. Now, does that mean I have to keep that forever? No, I don't have to keep it forever, but I do want to keep it long enough to ensure that I'm not going to have any like warranty issues that I have to get addressed right away. So get all this stuff prepped. Got my DMI card. I'm going to keep this here. I'm going to clean up my tools, clean up my mess. And I think we did it, guys. And gals, I don't know. There's a few people watching. Might have some ladies on the stream here. All right, cool. Well, if you want to see more content like this, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And if you did catch this, most likely you are subscribed. But I think that's the end of it. We're going to stop it here. Thanks, guys.